The alarm came without warning. One moment was deep inside the mine, her drill cutting through black rock. The next moment, red lights flashed everywhere and a loud horn filled the tunnels. She pulled off her helmet and looked at the older man working beside her. His name was, and he had been mining on Colony K-14 for almost 10 years. "What is that?" asked. His face went pale. "Invasion alarm. I have only heard it once before during a drill exercise." He grabbed her arm. "We need to get to the surface, now." They ran through the dark tunnels. Other workers joined them, all running toward the main elevator. His legs burned as she climbed the steep path. She had worked in these mines for 3 years. The gravity here was almost twice as strong as Earth. Every step felt like carrying another person on her back, but her body had changed over time. She was stronger now. All of them were. When they reached the surface, saw the ships. 3 massive vessels hung in the orange sky. They were black and covered in sharp edges, like weapons made into spacecraft. Smaller ships were already landing near the colony buildings. Figures poured out of them. Someone whispered, "They are here." Had heard stories about everyone in the outer colonies had. They were hunters, slavers. They traveled from world to world, taking whatever they wanted. No species had ever stopped them. Their bodies were covered in natural bone armor that could stop bullets. Their claws could cut through metal. They stood 7 feet tall and feared nothing. The galaxy called them the perfect predators. "Everyone stay calm," said Supervisor. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. "We do not fight. We cannot fight. If we cooperate, they might let some of us live." "And if we do not cooperate?" asked. Did not answer. She did not need to. The soldiers moved through the colony with terrible speed. They kicked down doors and dragged people from buildings. Watched a family pulled from their home. The father tried to protect his children. A soldier hit him once, and he fell and did not get up. Felt something hot rise in her chest. Anger, fear, something else she could not name. "Form a line," an officer shouted. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. "You belong to the Empire now. Obey and you will live. Resist and you will die. This is simple." The colonists gathered in the main square. There were about 200 of them. Miners, engineers, farmers, families. All of them stood with their heads down, too afraid to look at their captors. Stood near the back of the group. She kept her eyes on the ground, but she watched the soldiers through her hair. They moved with confidence. They laughed and joked with each other. To them this was easy, routine. They had done this 1,000 times before. One soldier walked down the line, looking at the humans like a farmer looking at cattle. He stopped in front of a young woman named. "This one is too old," he said. "Weak, not worth transporting." He raised his weapon. "No," son jumped forward. He was barely 20 years old, thin and scared. But he put himself between his mother and the soldier. "Please, she can work, she is strong, please." The soldier tilted his head. Amusement flickered in his yellow eyes. Brave, stupid, but brave. He lowered his weapon. "Fine, she lives, but you will carry her share of the work." Nodded quickly. "Yes, thank you, yes." The soldier moved on. Released a breath she did not know she was holding. More soldiers came. They began separating the colonists into groups, strong ones for labor, weak ones for something else. Children were taken from their parents. The screaming filled the air. A soldier grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the labor group. His grip was tight, and his claws dug into her skin. She stumbled, then instinctively pulled back to free herself. She did not mean to use force. She just wanted to get her balance. But when she pulled, something strange happened. The soldier's wrist bent the wrong way. Heard a sharp crack, like a branch breaking. The soldier screamed and fell to his knees, holding his arm. Everyone stopped. Every soldier turned to look at her. Every human stared with wide eyes. Looked at her own hand. She had barely tried. She had just pulled her arm back, that was all. "What did you do?" the injured soldier howled. "What did you do to me?" Two more soldiers rushed toward her. One swung his armored fist at her head, raised her arm to block it, another instinct from years of dangerous work in the mines. The soldier's hand hit her forearm and stopped. He looked confused. He tried to pull back but grabbed his wrist and squeezed. The bone armor cracked under her fingers. The soldier screamed even louder than the first one. "Impossible," someone said. Did not know if it was human or... She let go and stepped back. Her heart was pounding. She did not understand what was happening. She was just a miner. She was small. She was nobody. How could she break their armor? How could she hurt them so easily? The soldiers backed away from her. For the first time, saw something new in their yellow eyes. Fear. "Get the commander," one of them said. "Tell him we have a problem." Stood alone in the middle of the square. The other humans watched her with shock and hope and terror. She did not know what to say to them. She did not know what to say to herself. She looked down at her hands. They were the same hands that had held drills and hauled rocks for 3 years. The same hands that ached every night and bled every week. The same small human hands. What had this planet done to her? What had it done to all of them? A shuttle landed nearby and Anu stepped out. He was larger than the others, with golden marks painted on his bone armor. His eyes were cold and intelligent. This was Commander, leader of the hunting fleet. He walked toward slowly, studying her like a scientist studying a strange insect. "So," he said, his voice calm and curious, "you are the one who hurt my soldiers." Did not answer. She did not trust her voice. Circled her, looking at her from every angle. "You are small, soft, no claws, no armor, no venom. Your species is listed as Category 7, harmless, suitable only for basic labor." He stopped in front of her. "And yet you broke Grade 5 bone armor with your bare hands." He leaned closer. His breath smelled like metal and blood. "What are you?" Met his eyes. Something had changed inside her. The fear was still there, but now there was something else too, something harder. "I am human," she said quietly, "and I think you made a mistake coming here." Stared at her for a long moment. Then he smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Take her to the ship," he said. "Maximum security. I want to know everything about this species." Soldiers moved forward with chains and restraints. Did not fight. Not yet. But as they led her away, she looked back at the other colonists. All of them watching her with new light in their eyes. They had seen what she could do, and now they were wondering the same thing she was wondering. The cell was built for monsters. Could see that clearly. The bars were thick alloy, the kind used to build warship hulls. Energy fields hummed between them. The walls were solid metal with no windows and no weak points. Above her head, devices pointed down at her, ready to release gas or electricity or something worse. She sat in the corner and waited. They had taken 47 humans from Colony K-14. The rest were left behind, too old or too young or too sick to be worth transporting. Tried not to think about what would happen to them. The ship had been traveling for 2 days now. Could feel the vibration of the engines through the floor. She did not know where they were going. They had not told them anything. A whisper came from the cell next to hers. She moved closer to the bars and saw his face in the dim light. His eyes were red from crying, but his voice was steady. "Are you okay?" "I am alive," she said. "Your mother." 3 cells down, they put the older ones together. He pressed his face against the bars. "What happened back there? In the square? I saw you break that soldier's arm. I saw you crack his armor." Shook her head. "I do not know. I did not try to hurt him. I just pulled my arm away." "That is not normal. That is not possible." "I know." They were quiet for a moment, then spoke again, his voice even lower. "I have been thinking about the gravity." "What about it?" "Colony K-14 has 1.8 times Earth gravity. We have lived there for years. Our bodies had to change to survive. Our bones got thicker, our muscles got stronger. He paused. But we never noticed because everything on the colony was heavy. We thought we were normal. Understood what he was saying. On the colony, lifting a heavy rock felt hard because the rock was heavier in that gravity, but her body had grown stronger to match. She had been getting more powerful every day without knowing it. And now she was off the colony. Now she was in normal gravity. "We are not normal," she said slowly. "Not anymore." "No," agreed. "We are something else." The door at the end of the hallway opened. Guards walked in, their boots loud on the metal floor. Behind them came a smaller in a white coat, a scientist. "This one," the scientist said, pointing at Cell. "Bring her to the examination room." The guards opened her cell carefully. They moved slowly, keeping their weapons ready. Noticed that there were 6 of them, 6 soldiers for one small woman. Before today, they would have sent one. She did not resist as they put heavy chains on her arms and legs. The chains were meant for something much larger than her. She could feel how strong they were, but she also noticed something strange. The metal felt lighter than it should, easier to move. She stored that information away for later. The examination room was cold and bright. They made her lie on a metal table while machines moved around her, scanning and measuring. The scientist watched screens filled with numbers and images. "Fascinating," he muttered. "Absolutely fascinating." Commander entered the room. He stood in the corner with his arms crossed, watching everything. "Report," he said. The scientist turned to him, excitement in his voice. "Commander, I have never seen anything like this. Her bone density is 3 times higher than ours. 3 times. Her muscle fibers are compressed in ways I did not think possible. And look at this." He pointed at a screen showing her internal organs. "Her heart is oversized, pumping more blood than any species in our records. Her lungs process oxygen with incredible efficiency." "Get to the point." "The point, Commander, is that this creature could tear through our armor like paper. She could punch through a starship hull with her bare hands if she wanted to. And she does not even know it yet." Looked at on the table, his yellow eyes were unreadable. "How is this possible? Humans are Category 7. We have studied them before." "You studied Earth humans," the scientist said. "Humans who live in their home gravity. This one has lived in high gravity for years. Her body adapted. It rebuilt itself from the inside out." He pulled up more data. "And Commander, there are 46 more of them on this ship, all from the same colony, all adapted the same way." The room went quiet. Watched face change. The confidence was still there, but underneath it she saw something else growing. Doubt, worry, the beginning of fear. "Can we control them?" asked. "The current restraints will not hold if they decide to break free. Our weapons might hurt them, but I am not sure they would stop them. We would need to use ship-grade artillery, and even then—" The scientist shook his head. "Commander, we need to change our approach. These are not slaves. These are weapons." "They are animals," said firmly. "Clever animals, perhaps, strong animals, but animals nonetheless. They do not have our technology, our ships, our empire. Strength means nothing without intelligence." "Commander, with respect, their intelligence is comparable to ours, perhaps higher. They built colonies on a world that should have killed them. They adapted to conditions that would destroy any other species. They did this without genetic engineering, without advanced technology. They did it with pure determination." The scientist looked at with something like wonder. "I think we have made a serious mistake." Walked closer too. He looked down at her, his face hard. "Do you understand what we are saying, human?" Met his eyes. "Yes." "And what do you think?" She thought about her answer carefully. She thought about the other colonists locked in cells throughout the ship. She thought about and all the others. She thought about what they could do if they worked together. "I think," she said slowly, "that you should let us go. Take us back to our colony and leave human space forever. If you do that, no one needs to get hurt." Laughed. It was a cold, harsh sound. "You threaten me. You are in chains, you are on my ship, you are surrounded by my soldiers. What could you possibly do? Did not answer, she just looked at him. The scientist cleared his throat nervously. Commander, perhaps we should consider. Enough, cut him off with a wave of his hand. I will not be frightened by cattle. Put her back in her cell, double the guards on all human prisoners, and prepare the arena. The arena, Commander. Smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I want to see what these humans can really do. Let us give them a proper test. He turned and walked toward the door. Tomorrow, we will put on a show. The guards took back to her cell. As she walked through the hallway, she saw the other humans watching her through their bars. They had heard the guards talking. They had heard what the scientists said about their strength. She saw hope in their faces, hope in something else, something dangerous. Back in her cell, she sat down and closed her eyes. Her whole body was tired, but her mind was racing. Tomorrow wanted a test, a show. He wanted to see what humans could do. She would show him. But not just for entertainment, not just to survive. She would show him so that every human on this ship could see it too, so they would know what they were capable of, so they would stop being afraid. The thought they had captured animals, slaves, property. They were wrong. The arena was built for death. Could see that the moment they brought her inside. The floor was metal, stained dark with old blood. The walls rose high on all sides, covered in viewing platforms where soldiers and officers sat watching. Bright lights hung overhead, making the center of the arena as bright as noon. No shadows, no places to hide. Commander sat in a special platform above the others, surrounded by his personal guards. He looked down at like a king watching an insect. Welcome, human, his voice boomed through speakers around the arena. Today, you will show my crew what your species is capable of. If you survive, you will earn better treatment. If you die, he paused and smiled. Well, you will provide entertainment either way. Stood in the center of the arena, still wearing her dirty mining clothes. They had removed her chains, but she could feel weapons pointed at her from every direction. If she tried to run or climb the walls, she would be dead before she moved 10 steps. Not that she planned to run. A door on the far side of the arena opened with a loud grinding sound. Something large moved in the darkness beyond. Heard heavy breathing, like a machine pumping air. Then the creature stepped into the light, and she understood why they looked so excited. It was had never seen one before, but she had heard stories. There were living weapons, bred by them for centuries to be the perfect killing machines. This one stood almost 10 feet tall, with 4 thick legs and 2 massive arms ending in claws the size of swords. Its body was covered in gray scales, and its head was all teeth and rage. A metal collar around its neck crackled with electricity, keeping it under control. The creature looked at and roared. The sound was so loud that it hurt her ears. Spit flew from its mouth. Its eyes were red and mindless, filled with nothing but hunger and violence. On the platforms above, they started to laugh. Poor little soft thing, one shouted. It will be over in seconds. 10 credits says she does not even scream. I say she tries to run. They always try to run. Ignored them. She kept her eyes on the. She watched how it moved, how it breathed, how it shifted its weight. 3 years of working in dangerous mines had taught her to read her environment, to notice things, to survive. The collar sparked and the charged. It was fast, faster than something that big should be. The ground shook with each step, waited until the last possible moment, then moved. She did not move like a normal human. She moved like something else, something that had spent years fighting against gravity itself. Her legs pushed against the ground with power she did not know she had, and suddenly she was in the air, jumping over this head as it crashed into the spot where she had been standing. She landed behind the beast and turned to face it. Her heart was beating fast, but her mind was clear. She was not afraid anymore. She was focused. The spun around with surprising speed and swiped at her with one massive arm, ducked under the blow and felt the wind of it pass over her head. The claws missed her by inches. She punched the creature in the leg. On Earth, in normal gravity, it would have been a weak hit, but was not on Earth, and she was not normal anymore. Her fist sank into the scaled hide like a hammer into soft wood. The creature screamed and stumbled, its leg nearly buckling beneath it. The stopped laughing. Did not stop. She moved in close, staying under the beast's long arms where it could not reach her easily. She hit it again and again, each punch breaking scales and cracking bones. The tried to grab her, tried to bite her, tried to crush her under its feet. But she was too fast, too strong, too determined. She remembered all the rocks she had carried in the mines, all the drills she had held steady for hours, all the times her body had screamed at her to stop, and she had kept going anyway. This was nothing compared to that. The swung wildly, desperate now. One claw caught across the shoulder, tearing her shirt and drawing blood. The pain was sharp and hot, but it did not stop her. It only made her angry. She grabbed one of the creature's horns. They tried to shake her off, but her grip was like steel. She pulled herself up onto its head, her muscles burning with effort. The beast thrashed and roared, but she held on. Then, with both hands on its horns, she twisted. The crack echoed through the silent arena. This massive body went still for one moment, then collapsed like a falling building, jumped clear as it hit the ground, dead before it landed. She stood over the corpse, breathing hard. Blood ran down her arm from the wound on her shoulder. Her hands were shaking, but she was alive. She looked up at Commander's platform. "Is that all you have?" she asked. They stared at her in shock. No one spoke. No one moved. They had watched their ultimate weapon, their unbeatable monster, die at the hands of a creature they considered worthless. His face was stone, but his eyes told a different story. Saw confusion there. She saw anger, and underneath it all, growing like a weed, she saw fear. "Impressive," he said finally. His voice was calm, but noticed that he gripped the railing of his platform too tightly. "You are stronger than we expected, but strength alone means nothing. You are still one creature, far from home, surrounded by enemies." "Am I?" Looked around the arena, then back at him. "There are 46 more humans on this ship. We all came from the same place. We all adapted the same way." She smiled, and it was not a friendly smile. "Are you sure you have enough monsters to test all of us?" Did not answer. He waved his hand, and guards rushed into the arena to surround. They did not touch her. They just pointed their weapons and waited. "Take her back to her cell," ordered. "No food, no water. Let her think about her situation." As the guards led her away past the viewing platforms, she saw the soldiers looking at her with new expressions. Some were still angry, some were confused, but many, she noticed, were afraid. Good. Let them be afraid. Back in the hallway outside her cell, she passed the other human prisoners. They had been watching through screens in the wall. They had seen everything. Pressed against his bars as she walked by, he whispered, "That was incredible." She stopped and looked at him. "That was just the beginning. Pass the word to everyone. Tell them what happened. Tell them what we can do." She leaned closer. "And tell them to be ready, because when the time comes, we are not going to wait for them to test us anymore." Nodded, his eyes burning with new fire. They put her back in her cell and locked the door, sat down in her corner and closed her eyes. Commander did not sleep that night. He stood at the window of his quarters, staring out at the stars. His hands were clasped behind his back, but they would not stop trembling. He had conquered worlds. He had broken armies. He had made kings bow before him and watched empires crumble at his feet. They were the supreme predators of the galaxy. Nothing could stand against them. Until now. The image of that small human woman standing over the dead would not leave his mind. She had killed it with her bare hands. She had broken its neck like it was nothing. And she was not special among her kind. She was just a miner, a worker, Nobody important. What would their soldiers be like? Push that thought away. He could not afford to think like that. He was the commander. His crew looked to him for strength. If he showed fear, everything would fall apart. He made his decision. He would crush this threat before it grew. He would show everyone, human and alike, that he was still in control. The next morning, he assembled his elite guard in the arena, 12 of the best warriors in his fleet. They called themselves the Bone Breakers, and they had earned that name through decades of victory. Each one wore the finest armor, forged from grade 7 alloy that could withstand plasma fire and nuclear heat. Each one carried neural chains that could paralyze any living creature. They would contain this human, they would break her spirit, and then they would do the same to all the others. Was brought to the arena again. She looked tired. The wound on her shoulder was wrapped in dirty cloth, still bleeding slightly. Her face was pale from hunger and thirst, had her food and water for a full day. He wanted her weak. But when she looked at him, her eyes were not weak. They burned with something he did not want to name. "You killed my," said, his voice echoing through the arena. "You made a fool of me in front of my crew. Today, you will learn what happens to those who challenge the Empire." Said nothing. She just watched the 12 soldiers form a circle around her. "These are my bone breakers," continued. "Each one has killed hundreds of enemies. They have never failed me. They have never lost." He leaned forward in his seat. "Try to survive as long as you can. I am curious how many minutes you will last." The soldiers activated their neural chains. Blue lightning crackled along the metal links. Knew what those chains could do. She had seen them used on animals during transport. One touch and your whole body would freeze. Your muscles would lock. You would fall to the ground, helpless and screaming while your nerves burned. The first soldier attacked. He was fast, swinging his chain in a wide arc towards legs. She jumped over it and landed behind him. Before he could turn, she grabbed the back of his armor and threw him across the arena. He hit the wall hard enough to leave a dent in the metal. He did not get up. The other soldiers hesitated for just a moment. That moment cost them. Moved through them like water through stones. She did not fight like they expected. She did not stand and trade blows. She moved constantly, striking and retreating, using their own size against them. Every time they tried to surround her, she was somewhere else. A soldier swung a shock lance at her head. She caught it with one hand and crushed the weapon in her grip. The soldier stared at his broken lance in disbelief, punched him in the chest, and his armor cracked like an eggshell. "Contain her strength," screamed from his platform. His voice had lost its calm. He sounded scared now. "Use the neural chains, bring her down, all of you together." The remaining soldiers threw their chains at once, trying to trap her in a web of lightning. Grabbed one chain out of the air. The electricity ran through her body, but she did not fall. She did not freeze. She pulled the chain hard, yanking the soldier toward her, and knocked him unconscious with a single hit to the head. 8 soldiers left, then 7, then 6. One of them managed to get behind her. He grabbed her arm and tried to lock it behind her back. For a moment, it seemed to work. The soldier grinned beneath his helmet. "Got you," he said. Looked at him over her shoulder. Then she flexed her arm and snapped his grip like it was made of dry leaves. She turned, grabbed his with one hand and squeezed. 2 fingers pressed into the grade 7 alloy. The metal screamed as it bent inward. The soldier's eyes went wide with terror. She was not even trying hard. Pushed him away and he fell to his knees, gasping and clutching his ruined armor. The remaining soldiers stopped fighting. They stepped back, their weapons lowered, their faces pale. They were not warriors anymore. They were prey. Stood up in his platform, shaking with rage and fear. "Cowards, all of you, she is just one human, attack her." But they did not move. They could not move. Fear had frozen them more completely than any neural chain. Walked toward the center of the arena and looked up at. Blood dripped from cuts on her arms and face. Her breathing was heavy. but she was still standing, and all 12 of his best soldiers were broken on the ground around her. "Your armor," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "is weaker than the rocks I used to drill. Your warriors are slower than the machines I used to lift." She held up her hand, the same hand that had cracked grade 7 alloy like paper. "I am a miner, I am nobody, and I beat your best." The arena was completely silent. Every watching held their breath. "Let my people go," said. "Take us back to human space and leave us alone forever. Do this, and no more of you have to die." His face twisted with fury. "You think you can threaten me? You are on my ship. You are surrounded by my army. I will." "You will nothing." His voice was cold now, hard. "Look at your soldiers, Commander. Look at how they shake. They know the truth now. They know what humans are." She tilted her head. "How long before your whole crew knows? How long before they start to wonder if you can protect them?" Opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out, because he knew she was right. He could see it in the faces of his crew, the fear spreading through them like poison. "Think carefully," said. "You can still end this peacefully. You can still save what is left of your pride." She paused. "Or you can keep fighting us, and we will show you exactly what humans do to predators who hunt us." She turned her back to him, a deliberate insult, a complete dismissal. She walked toward the door where the guards waited, still frozen in shock. "Take me back to my cell," she said to them. "I will give your commander time to make his decision." The word spread through the ship like wildfire. Every soldier, every officer, every worker heard what happened in the arena. They whispered about it in the corridors. They argued about it in the mess halls. They dreamed about it when they tried to sleep. The human woman had defeated 12 elite warriors without weapons. She had broken grade 7 armor with her fingers, and she was just a miner. Fear changed everything. Guards who once walked past the human cells with confidence now hurried by with their eyes down. Officers who gave orders with loud voices now spoke quietly, nervously. The whole ship felt different. The predators had become the prey, and everyone knew it. Commander locked himself in his quarters. He refused to see anyone. He refused to make decisions. His crew whispered that he had lost his mind, that the human had broken something inside him. On the third day after the arena battle, heard footsteps outside her cell. Not the heavy boots of soldiers, but softer steps, careful steps. The scientist appeared at her bars. Kel, the one who had examined her. He looked nervous, glancing over his shoulder constantly. "I do not have much time," he said quietly. "The guards change shift in 10 minutes. "What do you want?" asked. Kel reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. "This is a master key. It will open any cell on the ship. I am going to drop it and you are going to pick it up, and we are going to pretend this conversation never happened." Stared at him. "Why would you help us?" "Because I am not stupid." Kel's voice was barely a whisper. "I have studied your species now. I have read your history. I know what you did to the predators on your own world. You hunted them to extinction, every single one. You are the most dangerous thing this galaxy has ever seen, and my people were foolish enough to attack you." He shook his head. "This war is already over. Your kind just does not know it yet." He dropped the key through the bars. It clattered on the floor near his feet. "The shuttle bay is on level 4, Kel said. "Most of the crew will be in the mess hall for evening meal. If you move fast, you can take a ship before anyone stops you." He turned to leave, then paused. "I am sorry for what we did to you, for what it is worth." Then he was gone. Picked up the key. It was small in her hand. Small but powerful, freedom in her palm. She waited until the guard shift changed, just like Kel said. Then she opened her cell door and stepped into the hallway. The other humans watched her from their cells. 46 pairs of eyes, filled with hope and fear and determination. "It is time," said. She started opening cells one by one. "Stay quiet, stay together, we are going home." Was in the first cell she opened. The old miner stretched his arms and cracked his neck. "I have been waiting for this." he said with a grim smile. And we're next. The mother and son hugged each other tight, then turned to with ready eyes. The supervisor organized the others into groups without being asked. Even now, she was still leading. They moved through the ship like ghosts. The hallways were mostly empty, just as Kel had promised. The few soldiers they met did not fight. Some ran. Others simply stepped aside and let them pass. The fear had done its work. They reached level 4 without trouble. The shuttle bay was ahead, a large room filled with small ships, enough for all of them. Could see freedom waiting just through those doors. But Commander was waiting too. He stood in the middle of the bay with 20 soldiers behind him. His armor was polished, his weapons drawn. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with desperate pride. "You will not leave this ship," he said. "I will not allow it." Stepped forward, putting herself between and the other humans. "Your soldiers will not fight us. They know what will happen if they try. Then I will fight you myself." Drew his ceremonial blade, a weapon made of black metal covered in golden symbols. "This sword has killed chieftains and kings. It has ended wars and started empires. It has tasted the blood of 100 species." He pointed it at. "Today, it will taste human blood." Looked at the blade, then at. She saw the fear hiding behind his anger. She saw the desperation in his stance. This was not a warrior confident in victory. This was a predator making one last stand. "I do not want to hurt you," she said honestly. "I do not want to hurt anyone. All we want is to go home." "And I wanted to build an empire that lasted forever," screamed. "I wanted my name remembered across the stars, but you," his voice cracked, "you ruined everything. You showed my crew that we are not the strongest. You showed them that we can be defeated. Do you know what that means? Do you know what you have done?" Nodded slowly. "I showed them the truth." Charged with a howl of rage, his blade cut through the air towards head. She did not dodge. She did not block. She caught the blade in her bare hand. The metal bit into her palm, drawing blood, but it did not go deeper. Her grip was too strong, her skin too tough from years of harsh labor. She held the blade still, stopping his attack completely. His eyes went wide with shock. Pulled the sword from his grip like taking a toy from a child. She looked at the blade for a moment, this weapon that had killed kings. Then she snapped it in half and dropped the pieces at his feet. "We are leaving now," she said quietly. "You can tell your empire what you found here. Tell them humans are not prey. Tell them we were never prey." She stepped closer until her face was inches from his. "And tell them that if they ever come to human space again, we will not be as kind as I was today." Fell to his knees. All the strength had left his body. Behind him, his soldiers dropped their weapons and backed away. The humans walked past them without a word. They boarded the shuttles, all 47 of them, was the last to board. She stood at the shuttle door and looked back at one last time. "Goodbye, Commander," she said. "I hope we never meet again." The shuttles launched into space, carrying the humans toward their home. 3 months later, the story had spread across the galaxy, the empire from all sectors near human space. Other species started to look at humans differently, with respect, with caution, with fear. Returned to Colony K-14. She went back to her drills, her rocks, her quiet life. The work was hard, the gravity was heavy, and her hands still hurt every night. But sometimes, when she looked up at the stars, she smiled. The galaxy knew the truth now. Humans were not soft, humans were not weak, humans were not prey. They were survivors, fighters, conquerors of their own deadly world. And now the stars knew their name. They obeyed, they had no choice. She was not their prisoner anymore, not really. And everyone in that arena knew it. Her shoulder hurt, her whole body was tired, but her spirit was stronger than ever. She had shown them what one human could do. Soon, she would show them what all of them could do together. They had captured something far more dangerous. They had captured hope. What else could they do?